Caitlin Clark's presence on a basketball court is nothing short of electrifying. She steps into every game with a confidence that sends ripples through the arena, backed by a fierce precision that has cemented her reputation as one of the most impressive players in the modern era. It's not just about the points she scores or the moves she makes, but the way she carries herself, a blend of competitive fire and an unyielding love for the sport. With the announcement of Stephanie White taking the helm as the new coach for the Indiana Fever, Clark's reaction has become a focal point for fans and analysts alike. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Stephanie White's return to coaching has stirred more than just nostalgia. It's reignited hopes for the franchise. Known for her strategic mind and her ability to foster a winning spirit, White's reputation precedes her. However, it's not just the legacy she brings back to Indiana. It's what she represents for players like Clark, those whose careers could be directly influenced by White's vision. Clark, with her sharp instincts and a knack for reading the court like a seasoned veteran, has always valued the subtleties of leadership in a coach. Her thoughts on White's return reflect more than admiration. They signal an alignment of ambition and understanding, two elements that could redefine the Fever's trajectory. The murmurs of anticipation grew louder when Clark expressed her opinion about White. Although her words were never disclosed verbatim, the essence of her sentiment was clear. This wasn't just another coaching change. For Clark, it meant a shift in energy, a promise of a more dynamic approach to the game. White's coaching style, one that blends old-school fundamentals with modern adaptability, seems to resonate with Clark's versatile playing style. She thrives on coaches who challenge the norm and infuse the team with a fresh sense of purpose. To her, White isn't merely a coach returning to familiar territory. She's a catalyst poised to reinvigorate the Fever and elevate the league's competition. Clark has always been vocal in subtle ways, her body language speaking volumes where words might fall short. When she first commented on the potential impact of White's leadership, there was a glint in her eyes, a spark that seasoned fans recognized. It was the same look she had before making one of her game-winning three-pointers, a mix of anticipation and determination. Her excitement wasn't just for herself, it was for the sport as a whole. A new coach with White's credentials signaled to Clark and players like her that the league was evolving, that it wasn't just about playing the game but pushing its limits. The Indiana Fever, known for its proud history and gritty play, had seen better days. The addition of White to their roster of leadership is as much a nod to the past as it is a leap forward. For Clark, who's watched and played against some of the fiercest competitors, this move was symbolic. It meant that the organization was willing to embrace change and rethink its approach to building a successful team. White's ability to connect with players on a human level and inspire trust was something Clark found promising. The story of how White cultivated a fierce, never-back-down culture during her previous stints wasn't lost on Clark, who thrives in high-stakes environments. Clark, often seen pacing during interviews or dribbling even when off the court, isn't one to hide her emotions. Her enthusiasm about White hinted at a shared understanding of what it takes to win. It wasn't just the trophies or the accolades that mattered. It was the journey, the grind, the moments of doubt turned into moments of triumph. Stephanie White's history of pushing players beyond what they thought possible resonated with Clark's story. A tale of relentless practice sessions, shooting hoops well past midnight, and perfecting every dribble and pass until they were second nature. The buzz surrounding White's return naturally intersected with Clark's rising influence. For a player who had taken the league by storm, her opinion carried weight. And for the fans, many of whom followed Clark not just for her gameplay, but for her candid, down-to-earth personality. Her take on White's appointment was golden. Clark's demeanor, whether on the bench or center stage, is laced with a mix of competitive tension and playful spontaneity. During one post-practice talk, when asked about the Fever's choice, she smirked before responding, a hint that she was about to say something that would get tongues wagging. It was these moments that kept fans glued, wanting more than just stats and scores but stories and reactions. Stephanie White's coaching has always been marked by a sharp attention to the psychological aspect of the game. She's known for watching the smallest details and using them to her advantage, a skill that Clark has noted. The way White breaks down plays, emphasizing both their strategic and emotional impact, aligns with Clark's belief that basketball isn't just physical, it's mental warfare. A well-timed look, a pause, a shift in energy can change the tide of a game. It's the kind of approach Clark has internalized, the subtle art of disruption and recalibration. Knowing White's history of spotting those nuances was enough to make Clark look forward with excitement. Clark's thoughts on White weren't just abstract endorsements. They hinted at a larger picture. The idea of how a team adapts under new leadership was something Clark knew firsthand. She'd experienced the highs and lows of playing under different coaching philosophies and understood how a team's cohesion could hinge on that one individual. White's proven adaptability, her knack for balancing discipline with trust, was a trait Clark found admirable. It was no secret that in a league filled with incredible talent, what set teams apart was often how they could mentally outlast their opponents. The Indiana Fever had long been in search of that spark, a guiding force to lead them back into the fold of fierce competitors. For Clark, seeing White step into that role brought a sense of anticipation. The narrative wasn't just about what the coach could achieve, but how her presence could ripple through the league, pushing teams to innovate and players to evolve. Clark, who's known for her no-nonsense approach on the court, seemed to appreciate the serious tone White brought, coupled with the relatable, sometimes unexpected levity she showed. Like that time, White jokingly raced one of her players after a practice, only to surprise everyone with a sprint that proved she still had it. In discussing Clark's views on White, the focus often drifted to their shared qualities. Both carried themselves with an air that was simultaneously commanding and approachable. White's habit of observing quietly before making bold calls resonated with Clark's style of saving her sharpest plays for when they'd cut deepest. It was as if Clark saw a bit of herself in the new coach, a person who didn't just lead but pushed, laughed, and sometimes even taunted when the moment called for it. That understanding went deeper than casual recognition. It was respect born out of recognizing the fire in someone else's eyes. Beyond personal similarities, Clark's admiration spoke to the impact White could have on players developing in her system. It was as if Clark could already see the benefits of White's leadership unfold, how rookies might pick up pointers quicker, veterans might find new motivation, and the entire team could start viewing challenges as opportunities. With White, Clark saw a coach who wouldn't just draw up plays but would demand more than what was expected, not through volume or authority but through respect and accountability. It was the kind of leadership Clark knew could shape a team's entire identity. Clark's own journey, marked by countless moments of proving doubters wrong, paralleled the story that White was stepping into. For the Indiana Fever, which had experienced seasons that tested their resolve, White's arrival wasn't just a move, it was a statement, and Clark's endorsement, however subtle, added weight to that statement. It was as if her reaction told fans, "This is something worth paying attention to." Clark's following, made up of both die-hard basketball enthusiasts and casual viewers drawn to her charismatic play, latched onto her take as a pulse check for what to expect. Clark's interest in White also signaled a change in how players approached new leadership. It wasn't just about learning to adjust, it was about thriving within that change. White's ability to connect and lead with authenticity could reignite the team's spark. For Clark, who often turned even the smallest moment of connection on the court into something game-changing, this was a prospect that resonated deeply. The Fever needed that, the fans needed that. More importantly, the league needed figures like Clark and White to set the pace, to show that growth was as much about timing as it was about skill. The anticipation built around Clark's thoughts and reactions reflected not just an individual's opinion, but the broader implications for the sport. In a league where narratives shaped seasons, the stories behind players and coaches mattered. White's return wasn't merely another chapter for Indiana. It was the beginning of a tale that hinted at redemption and resilience. Clark's subtle nods and fleeting smirks during post-practice chats told fans she believed in that tale. There was hope stitched into her words and a subtle nudge for the fans to buckle up.